Okay, guys, welcome back again. Okay, this video is just going to give you a chance to practice what you did last week with difference quotients. Okay, I'm going to invite you, take a look at each question, right? Pause it for a minute, see what you can do. All right, come on back and check each answer. Okay, all right, here's our difference quotient function. Okay, remember f of x plus h minus f of x, all divided by h. As you work on difference quotients, remember from last week, ultimately that h value is going to cancel. All right, there should be a way to factor or find an h in the numerator. All right, once the h's cancel, you've simplified your difference quotient. All right, first one, nice simple linear, 7x plus 5. All right, see what you can do with your difference quotient. All right, plug in the x plus h. Subtract the original f of x, find a way to factor out the h. They should cancel. All right, pause the video and try it. We'll come back with the solution here in a second. All right. F of x plus h, we're plugging in x plus h, a simple distributive of 7. Okay. Notice the brackets. I kept my f of x plus h and my f of x separate. Eventually, we're going to subtract. That subtraction should cancel out every term in the original f of x. In this case, it does. Nothing to really factor. Cancel. We've got a difference quotient of 7. Question 2, we've got a quadratic function. All right, again, I'm going to invite you to pause the video. See if you can find your difference quotient. Coming back from a pause, right? F of x plus h, right? X plus h went in for the x's. In this case, x plus h is going to be squared. All right, that expression is given to you above. Okay, minus the original f of x. Notice again the parentheses, the brackets, separating the f of x plus h minus the f of x. All right, eventually that subtraction will help us cancel. All right, x plus h squared from above. Be careful, we've got to distribute that 2. Don't forget the plus 7 is still there. After distributing that 2, right, we're ready to let our subtraction do its thing. The 2x squareds cancel, 7 minus 7 cancels. Notice the 2 terms that are left have an h in common. All right, that h on the bottom can cancel an h from each term on top. All right, I could have written that a little bit differently and factored it out. All right, and then let those h's cancel. All right, number 3, a little bit tougher. We've got a cubic, x cubed plus 3x. Again, I'm going to give you a second to pause it, see what you can do. Notice at the top of the page, x plus h cubed is given. All right. Notice x plus h got in for both x's. Notice my use of the brackets and parentheses again. F plus h is staying separate from f of x. Eventually that subtraction will help us cancel. Right. Cubing out my x plus h cubed. Okay. Notice again the parentheses separating the f of x plus h and the f of x. X cubes cancel, 3x's cancel. Right. Everything that's left had an h in common. Factor it out, those h's cancel. You've got a difference quotient of 3x squared plus 3xh plus h squared plus 3. Okay. Next page is going to get you to try a couple of the rational functions. Don't forget common denominators. All right. some square root functions. Don't forget your conjugates. Yeah, pause the video as needed. See what you can do with question 5 and 6. Notice your difference quotient is given at the top of the page. Remember, common denominators are going to be needed here. Right? Eventually, you'll be able to cancel out the h on the bottom. Right? Keep, switch, flip helps you on these ones. Right? Here we go. F of x plus h, I just got 5 over x plus h, minus the original f of x. Right. Notice, common denominators. First fraction is going to need an x top and bottom. Second fraction needs an x plus h top and bottom. A little bit of a distribute with that 5. Okay. Notice, still two separate fractions. Now with common denominators, we'll let that subtraction help us cancel. Right. 5x minus 5x on top is going to cancel. Okay. Leaving us with nothing but a minus still over my common denominator. All of that divided by h, I'm going to call that h over 1. Fraction divided by a fraction, little keep, switch, flip. It's going to get my h's to cancel. I've got a difference quotient of negative 5 divided by x times x plus h. Notice that common denominator we created stuck around all the way into the answer. Same thing on number 5. 6 over x plus h minus 3. Notice we made common denominators. First fraction needs an x minus 3, top and bottom both. Second fraction needed the x plus h minus 3, top and bottom both. Watch for the distributes on both of those fractions. Notice my work. I've still got two fractions, still with the subtraction in the middle. I didn't fill in my common denominators, but I know from the work I created two common denominators there. 6x minus 6x cancels, negative 18 minus negative 18 cancels. All that we're left with on top is the negative 6h all over my common denominator. All right, all over h. Keep, switch, flip again. h's cancel. Difference quotient, I've got negative 6 over that common denominator. Last two questions are square roots. Remember, conjugates are going to help you out there. All right, let me give you a second to pause it, see what you can do with 6 and 7. We'll come back and check it out. All right, so here we go. F of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Okay. Remember, our strategy here is we're going to use the conjugate in the numerator to help us simplify. Eventually, that h on the bottom is going to cancel. Okay. Multiplying top and bottom by the conjugate. Notice, same two terms, square root, but with a plus in the middle. On top, that's going to FOIL out. Notice I only did my first and my last terms. I know from FOIL, outside insides are going to cancel. So I got the square root of x plus h minus 4 times another square root of x plus h minus 4. That's squared. Helps me out. Squares and square roots cancel. Same thing with last. Square root of x minus 4 times square root of x minus 4. I got square root of x minus 4 squared. Squares and square roots cancel out. The subtraction, x minus x will cancel. Negative 4 minus 4 will cancel. All of that is still over h with our conjugate factor. In this case, the h's cancel. My difference quotient, I've got 1 over that conjugate factor that we used. Remember again, multiplying by that conjugate on top is really a FOIL. Outside and insides canceled out. All right, let's see the same thing on 7. Okay. Looking at a square root of 5x. All right. F of x plus h, a little bit of a distribute. I got the square root of 5x plus 5h. All right, minus my original f of x. Notice top and bottom multiplied by the conjugate. Pluses in the middle. We're going to FOIL across the top. Outside and insides are going to cancel. You've got the square root of 5x plus 5h squared minus the square root of 5x squared. Squares and square roots cancel. 5x minus 5x cancels. Notice your denominator, you've got the h along with that conjugate factor. 5h left on top. H and h cancel. Difference quotient, you got 5 divided by your conjugate factor. Okay. Thought it was a good idea to take an extra day and practice these. Again, difference quotients come back to us in a couple weeks. All right, I want to make sure those skills stay fresh, right, for when we get there. Have a great afternoon, guys.